Outdoorsy is known for being the Airbnb of RVs. Tell us how it works.
We get that moniker quite a bit, but what it is, Outdoorsy is a marketplace, an internet marketplace, where owners of recreational vehicles can list them for rent. There's 54 million of them sitting in people's driveways and backyards, but 12% of American households owns one. And 700 million people around the world, and primarily in America, North America, can go to the website and actually pick one that they want to rent, select their dates, set up a key exchange or a pickup point with the owner, and they show up and they go off on their adventures.
I just had a friend use this to go from Texas to North Carolina, and they had an amazing experience. Who are the new entrants into the market, and how do you keep their interest?
Yeah, that's a great question. 93% of all of our customers now are first timers. And this has always been a bit of a busy industry with people that love camper van travel, back roads, camping, fishing, going to national parks, music festivals, NASCAR, et cetera. But now the entire American society has caught on to the fact that this is the perfect way to self-quarantine, to maintain control of your environment, bathroom and kitchen, yet travel and maintain the freedom of mobility. So it's a lot of people are excited about it, and as a result, people are hitting the open road, and I think to the tune of 46 million Americans now are hitting the roads in RVs and camper vans and travel trailers.
So obviously this has been in part very popular because of the pandemic, because there's been, no desire to travel by air. But the question is, as we come out of it, is road travel, and not just road travel, but RV travel, is it a passing fad, or do you think this will continue?
I had a chance in my career to do business with Steve Jobs twice, and over the course of my career, and he would drop a lot of these interesting nuggets of wisdom. And one of them that I remember, he said, once the consumer learns they can have more, they'll never want less. Brian Chesky at Airbnb mentioned this the other day. He said, now that we're armed with new knowledge, we can't unlearn the knowledge. And so I think that it has become now known to Americans, Canadians, people from around the world. It's very popular in Europe. It has been for a long time. It really made its way to the US over the course of the last couple of years, driven primarily by millennials and Gen Z. About half of our customers are under the age of 40, which is a bit unusual when you think about typical RV travel. You think of it as a baby boomer or a retiree, the retiree generation activity. But it's really driven by young people, and young people are very hip to the models like Airbnb and Lyft and Uber and Turo and others, and now they just found this as a new great way to travel. So I think it's here with this to stay.
Now, I spoke to Brian Chesky recently as well, and he said, yes, road travel is booming, but also travel is never going to be the same, and it's still a scary world out there. The virus is resurging across the country. Summer is a great time for RV travel. The weather is great, but what about the fall and winter, especially given the resurgence of COVID-19 across the country? What are you expecting?
It's something that I think we should all be concerned about. Certainly, it's sad to see that mass market airlines and mass market hotels are suffering from this. We were suffering as well when the COVID lockdown happened. But what I think happened with users and consumers is they found that they can control their environment. So an RV or a camper van is a perfect way to avoid COVID because you can disinfect your kitchen. You can disinfect your bathroom, your sleeping quarters, and you can maintain it and control it. Yet you have the freedom of mobility to go, as you said, your friends go from Texas to North Carolina. We're doing a road trip through Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana. We hit Utah in the next couple of days, and we're doing it all in a way that's very safe. So I think that people are going to find that this is a perfect way to deal with COVID, to self-quarantine, but then maintain that wanderlust that Americans in particular really have. It's just part of our DNA. As a society.
Even in the cold weather as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think you might see people leave the cold and head to Florida, Arizona, Texas, Southern California, places like that. There is kind of a notion that travel, and especially RV travel, tends to move up and down with the weather. So in the summer months, people move north to escape the heat. And then conversely, in the winter months, they move south. But they'll just do it now without using an airplane and a hotel. They'll use an RV for that experience.
Now, you mentioned earlier in the year you didn't know if Outdoorsy was going to make it. You furloughed some staff. You've since rehired those people back. You've hired additional people. Salaries are still low. Where is the business positioned right now? And, how are you sort of planning out your financials to make sure you survive?
When COVID first hit, as you mentioned, we had to, we lost 90% of our business. Brian talks about this as well. And then it started to, and we had to engage in layoffs. I asked everybody in the company to take a pay cut. I go without a salary, and I've committed to go without a salary for the rest of 2020. The management team took pay cuts up to 50%. But what we wanted to do was preserve our frontline workers. Those are our customer service people who take care of the listers, those owners on our site, and the renters. And we were able to put the company in a position where it was healthy. We cut a lot of fixed costs out of the business, and then the surge came. And the surge came in a way we expected some of it, because we knew the notion of cleanliness and an RV, controlling your environment, and so on, would be healthy for people who wanted to travel and maintain control of their environment to avoid this virus. But it came back with a surge that nobody expected. But we grew 4,500% since April to the end of June. It has sped up. We're doing over $3 million a day. Our all-time revenues will generate, our all-time transactions will exceed $750 million within the next week. And so what we did is we started hiring frontline workers as fast as we could. We'll be at almost 300 customer service people by the end of July, and those people are operating at full salary. The management team remains operating at their pay cuts. The agreement they made with me during COVID, I said, you have to stay with that, and we're gonna lead from the front as a management team. So we're going to take the financial hits so that our frontline workers can help those people. But if you think about it, Americans are under great pressure, financial pressure right now. But Americans that are listing their RVs on our site are now experiencing life-changing financial benefits because there's so much rental revenue coming to them. We're feeding this growth in the U.S. economy. We're driving GDP through a whole new vertical that no one ever expected. And some of these families are writing us saying, I can now send my kid to college. I can now pay my mortgage again.
Last question. I know you've built several Silicon Valley companies. What's your vision for what this becomes?
Our goal with Outdoorsy is to become first at the top of mind for anybody that wants to engage in outdoor travel. The cities have figured this out for decades. We have hotels, we have rental cars, we have airlines, we have the infrastructure of a city. But when you start traveling into the urban environments, there's 33 billion meters of road on this planet. Most of it is not well organized for where do I stay? Where do I put my camper van? How do I rent a camper van? How do I get repairs for the camper van? What gear do I need to bring with me to live on the road for 3 months, which is what we're doing right now. So our goal with the company, this is our first act. When Jeff Bezos was building Amazon, it wasn't just about building an online bookstore. He had a bigger vision. Our vision is pretty big. You'll see something coming from us in August of this year.